Alright, welcome to the very first game of Arkham Horror, the card game. This is going to be basically, I think, the very first upload of this journal that I'm doing. I guess you can call it a journal. I'll have more details about that in another video, but this is basically a video for me. This is my own journal. I do not expect anything from YouTube. This is something I'm going to basically share with the family of the things I do and whatnot. And so, yeah. And in this game, Arkham Horror is a card game. A very, very good card game. A love and hate relationship card game. This game is all about H.P. Lovecraft's monsters and mythos, and this is Fantasy Flight's Arkham Horror line. Basically, they have so many different games. Me and the kids love to play Mansions of Madness, which is an app-based game, which will definitely be on this channel. But I thought I would start out with this. This game is like an RPG card game. And basically what it is, you pick an investigator. Right now I have Roland Banks, who is a very basic investigator, but a really good one. He comes with the base set, and he's alright. For long campaigns, it can be in a pain because he can easily go insane. But the general idea is that there's a story, and then you go through that story in certain scenarios. You make choices in those scenarios as best you can and basically hope for the best. The base game has the Night of the Zealot campaign. And in this campaign, it's basically just 3 scenarios and helps show you how to play, which is a great introduction to the game. When the game first came out, they have, well, they're still doing. Basically, this is how the cycle goes for this type of card game. There's a lot of expansion packs and small mythos scenario packs and whatnot, and it can be very confusing. Basically, you get you get the core game first. You always have to buy this first. It has all the cards you need to start. Then you start one of the expansion packs. Which, do I have them right here? I don't think I do. I usually threw all those boxes out. Basically, you get one of the expansion packs, which is around usually $30, and that gives you a whole new story, but only 2 of the scenarios. And then there's six small mythos packs, which is an extra scenario and more player cards. And basically, those are like about $15 each. And this is something I've been collecting over the years, like buying like a pack every so often, because those packs can be really hard to find, especially lately. So this is the very first campaign we're going to be playing through Night of the Zealot, and I'm going to be going through all the story bits and campaign setup. So when you first make a character, pick a character, as I said, and then you build a deck. Now, it'll show back here, which, let's see if it can focus. I know it can, but I'm not sure if it's going to. It gives you like how to build his deck. He has 30 cards in his deck. You can pick Guardian cards, which is the blue, that's his main class, a blue card, and they're more for like fighting monsters and support. But he also can take a little bit of the Seeker cards of yellow cards, which are more like investigation and whatnot. Roland Banks is a FBI agent, so it makes sense that he's a blue-yellow type of character. Which, I don't think the FBI was actually around the 1920s. I think they were just starting. I don't really know too much of the history, but basically his little subclass is called the Fed. Now, not only do you get those cards, but you also get his special cards. Let's see. So Roland has special cards just for him, and he has his 38 special, which is his own little gun that does more. It does a better chance to attack with the more clues on the location you're at. But each investigator also has their own weakness, their special little weakness, which makes the more interesting. Roland weakness is called cover up. Basically, he's trying to cover up every mythos situation that he can find. It's like he's trying to make sure that people don't know that monsters exist. So every weakness tries to slow you down in the game. Roland's weakness is basically you have to discover clues, but instead of discovering clues, you put it on here. And if you finish the scenario and this is still up, then he's going to get a mental trauma. And basically, mental trauma and physical trauma is basically the next scenario. He has one less mental capacity, which is right down here. Roland has a 9 in health, but only a 5 in sanity. He can, if ever he gets like 5 mental traumas, he basically goes insane and he's dead. You have to pick a new, make a new character. When you also build your deck, you also get, which I just saw somewhere in here, a basic weakness card. And where are you? I just saw you and I thought I would put it down, but a basic weakness cards oh, here it is. Basic weakness cards are basically like anyone can have these, but you always have to have at least one random, and there's quite a few of them, especially if you get every expansion. Every expansion adds more basic weaknesses. This one, Chronophobia, basically put Chronophobia in the threat area. At the end of your turn, take 1 direct horror, and basically I have to take 2 of my actions to discard it, which is pretty bad on Roland because he does not have that great mental capacity. He only has 5, so when this play comes out, I have to get rid of it as soon as possible. So now we hopefully got the general idea. This game is really hard to play. I will be making mistakes in this game, and it's going to be unintentional. There's a lot to think about, a lot to see, a lot to hold in your head, which is why I have this little dice here. I keep forgetting how many turns I've already taken in a game. This game can be played up to 1 to 4 players. This right here says 1 to 2 players though, but it can be played up to 4. And that's because the core set only has enough cards for 2 players. And that's 2 players who don't want to play the same class. It does not have enough cards to play the same class. So it can be quite expensive. Right now, I'm playing the game as a true solo. Basically, I'm taking 1 investigator and I'm going to put him in the campaigns. The game doesn't really doesn't do well in scaling. True solo is really hard to play, and most people will just suggest, you know what, just do a 2-hand. Basically have 2 investigators, 2 hands, 2 decks, and play it through there, which I will do. When I go through each of these campaigns, I'm going to play them first as a true solo, and when I return to them, I'll play as a 2 with 2 investigators. Now, as you can see, my little setup right here isn't exactly the best, especially right here. Kind of have the light right above it, which has this glare. I increased the sharpness of this recording to hopefully help relieve that, but that's why Roland's over here, because if I put him over here, you can't see it. It's all the glare. So, but I'm going to be slowly changing things around. I have other lights I could use. I just can't get them out right now. Since I can only really record like maybe once or twice a week, it's very hard to do so. And that's if I'm actually awake, because basically I have to wait for until everyone's asleep. Because my mic can actually pick up everyone from upstairs. And also, I have a baby monitor too. Right now, when the baby is awake, I go upstairs and check on him. So that helps the wife sleep. So if you do hear a little baby, that's because I'll have to run up and pause this real quick. Now, you also may have noticed these little tokens right here. basically you're going to be making tests in the game by basically you're going to be making tests, and these all go inside a bag, and you like try to grab one, and it's like, okay, this is a 0, so do I pass? Yes, I pass. I got it, and I basically either meet it or beat it. But if you don't, you fail the test. Now, here's like +1s, -1s, 0s, and -2s. You may have noticed there's skulls, some sort of ruined thing, like a little cultist, this blue, and a red one. Now, the game also has a difficulty setting, and the difficulty setting actually changes these tokens that will go in this bag. I have quite a few of tokens all in here, and I'll take these out every so often and put them in the bag or go in. The reason why I have so many is because I have 2 of the core sets, which gives you a lot more tokens. Even though you don't need tokens, it's actually good to have it just because you missed them. I actually only have this blue and this red because I actually lost my original ones a long time ago. So you may have also noticed that there's nice little acrylic seals on these. These are actually all just come in cardboard, but I bought these coin cases, which I think are, I forget what size these are. These does so well. These are very good. You can just feel how nice they are, basically. Well, I can. You can't. But cardboard, especially if you're like in the bag all the time, it kind of rubs off, and it's like, and it starts getting all the grime on these. These acrylic really help that. If you're really into this game and you play it a lot, which it is very much time consuming, then I would suggest invest in these. These are very nice. So let's go ahead, put these all in my little chaos bag. I'm sure you can probably see a little bit of it. Alright. Night of the Zealot. The Ghoul's Hunger. Friday, September 18th, 1925. Arkham, Massachusetts. It is the end of a long, abnormal hot summer. The first hints of autumn beckon, but a heavy heat persists, relentless. Silent, unspoken anger grips the town. Tempers are short, and in the last week alone there's been numerous reports of townspeople coming to heated, violent blows with one another over simple misunderstandings. And now a call from James Hankerson. He claims to have found a dismembered body in his barn. Blaming the weather would be too easy. There's something wrong with this town, and not a whole lot in this old soothsayer can do to stop the slide. My auguries indicate a small group of investigators will soon take notes of the strange happenings and set forth to make things right. I'll be watching their progress, but I won't be holding my breath. Okie dokie. So each campaign also will show, let's see if I can get this right, the difficulty. Right now I'm on easy, and even though it says I want to experience the story, you're probably going to fail a lot, especially if you're a true solo, which is one of the reasons why I play on easy with true solo, because it is really hard to build a solo deck to do everything you need to do within the game in order to beat the scenario. And only certain characters are real. Most of the characters and investigators you get in the base game and the expansions are investigators that are really good at one thing, but really lacking something else something else. Rowan is a pretty good all-round character. The only problem he has is his little agility on the top right, which is a 2, which means he's not that great with his feet. He's not going to be able to evade enemies or make a test that deals with foot. But he's really good at fighting, and he's really good at getting clues. And that's one of the good basic things you need. If you're playing true solo, and your character can't pick up clues, you're probably not going to get far. And it should be noted that even if you fail a scenario, you can still continue the campaign. There's basically resolutions where, okay, you did this in the game, so you go to resolution 2. Oh, you did this? Go to resolution 1. Oh, did you die or went down a certain amount of health and put you to 0? You go to this resolution. Now, if you do actually go down to 0 in either sanity or health, you also get a trauma, which basically means that you have 1 less health and 1 less sanity. And sometimes is that the baby? Yep, that was the baby. Maybe he's just stirring. Scared me for a second. I can't remember where my brain was. Alright, so let's start this up. Part 1, The Gathering, which I have right here. Each scenario comes with these little cards, and it'll show you basically, here we go, it's not, there we go. The sharpness is really screwing it up, but yeah. Basically it's showing you if you pick get the skull token out, X is X number of ghouls enemies at your location. If you get the cultist enemy, -1. If you fail, you take 1 horror. And if you get the rune, -2. And if there's a ghoul enemy, you take 1 damage. Each scenario has each one of these cards, and the back of it is like the hard version, and this is the easy and standard version, which is going to be down here out of play because I don't really have much playroom. I'm going to probably change the play area a little bit, but right now I don't really have much room for this game. Some certain scenarios are just huge, it just constantly spreads out. But this scenario is the basics of basic scenarios. At least the part 1. This campaign, the very first one, or I should state that the Night of the Zealot campaign is only 3 scenarios, unlike the others, which are 8 scenarios. But Night of the Zealot helps you learn how to play, and they're really good at doing it. The first scenario, which I'm going to be playing now, is very easy. Alright, part 1, The Gathering. You and your partners have been investigating strange events taking place in your home in Arkham, Massachusetts. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses have turned up in the woods, savage and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but you believe there's something else going on. You gather together at the lead investigator's home to discuss these bizarre events. And the lead investigator is basically someone who can declare, I'll be the lead investigator, and sometimes they make certain decisions. So we're going to be at Roland's house, and he's investigating these strange disappearances. So, alright. I already set up the game. So each scenario has you set up the game, which right now it's very simple. You usually set up locations, you build the Mythos deck, which is basically a whole bunch of small subset of decks with maybe like either 3 to 7 cards. You just put them all together. Basically that means that certain cards in this deck might show up later, but other cards won't. It's very interesting. Now, you can see this right over here. This is like your act and agenda deck. The agenda is basically the mythos, the card game attacking you. And if there gets enough Doom tokens in here, the story will continue and will continue and it will continue. And sooner or later, usually at the very end of the very last agenda, you usually will lose the game. So each game has its own little time limit. The act deck is what you're trying to do. So you want to figure out do this, and so that will help you get through the scenario. Alright, so we start the study as indicated. We have these small little investigator cards. So if it's placed up, the colorized, it means he's available for his actions. If it's face down, that means he's been not dead, but basically you played your turn. And later, in a later round during the upkeep phase, everyone can split back up. As true solo, you don't really have to worry about that. But if you're playing through with multiple characters, it's a good way to do that. You can also, if you have the investigators, you can also use figurines too. But the figurine right there, I currently have the Ursula Downs figurine because I was playing the Forgotten Age with her solo, and that didn't went out so well. And you're gonna see me fail a lot, especially in later campaigns, because those campaigns are really, really hard. But I do not have a figurine for Roland, otherwise I'd use them, which is unfortunate because I really like Roland. Alright, so this study is currently in the lock position because I don't know, I haven't been there yet. When you start, you'll flip it over, but you've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham several days now. Your desk is covered in newspaper articles, police reports, and witness accounts. Makes sense. Let's see what the agenda sec says. It is late at night. You're holed up in your study, researching the bloody disappearances that's been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sounds of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt turbulent as something was digging beneath the floor. Well, that's great. Act 1, trap. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind the only solid wall. You're trapped until you're inside your study until you can find your way out. So the only reason why this only location is out here because it's literally the only place available to me. And the game, since the first act of the gathering basically is so simple and so small, it basically gives you little baby steps. So since we start here, we flip this over. So it has a shroud of 2. This is the shroud, basically, when we want to investigate it. This is how many clues per investigator there is. And right down here, which you can't read because of the glare, the door to your study has vanished. Now, so let's put 2 clues down there. And in our act deck, right here, it says we need 2 clues per investigator in order to flip this over. And some story things happen. So basically, thematically, we're trying to get out of our study because the door just turned into a wall. So I didn't really draw my cards yet, but I have these right here, which are 5 resources. And basically you use these to place cards in your hands. Alright. The game always starts out in the investigator phase. So draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put it out of the way. Let's see, what do we have? I have Shortcut, Prepared for the Worst, Something Worth Fighting For, Dark Guard Dog, and the Hawkeye Folding Camera. This is a pretty good hand. So we have 3 actions. You can see that. For my first action, I'm going to spend 2 resources. So I'll put this down to 2. And I'm going to hold the Hawkeye folding camera. After the last clue is discovered from your location, I put a resource in here. If 1 or more evidence, I get +1 to my mind. 2, I get +2 to my book. And +3 or more, I get +3 to 5. Or +1 to my sanity, which Roland desperately needs. Alright, so I could actually put out guard dog and whatnot to get ready for fighting, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be fighting things anytime soon. But I kind of do want to have dark dog until something does come out. So we don't know if a monster is going to be coming, but you know what? Let's do prepared for the worst, which costs, according to this, it costs 1 resources. Search the top 9 cards of my deck for a weapon, and then add it to my hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Please tell me there's a... There is no weapons. I have 5 weapons in my deck out of 30, so That's quite sad that I do not have any weapons in there. So this goes in my discard pile, which I'll put right over here. And that cost me an action. Despite me not finding anything, that still cost me an action. So, great. And this game will do that to you. So, for my last action, I'm going to investigate, which basically means I'm trying to use my book against the Shroud. The Shroud is 2, and my book is 3, so I'm up by 1. And in this scenario, I'll always win basically if I'm up by 2, because I'm also easy. So I drew the skull, which is X is the number of enemies in my location. There are no cool enemies in my location, so it's a 0. So this clue, boom, I found the clue. But that's the rest of my actions. Alright, next phase, enemy phase. There's no enemies on there, so it's the upkeep phase. Everyone gets faced up. I was over. I have to put myself back up. Ready all exhausted cards. Each investigator draws 1 card. Another prepared for the worst. Ugh. And draw 1 resource. Now, ready for some doom and gloom. Place 1 doom token, which are these, which is right behind a clue token, and it goes right here. 3 of those goes in, the agenda that continues. And then I draw a Mythos card, or the counter deck. And please don't see an enemy, and it is an enemy, because of course it is. So he's basically spawned right here, but because I was right here, he spawns in my threat area, which I'm guessing I'll put right here for now. He has not getting a weapon in the very beginning really hurt me. Like, I should have put out my guard dog, but I thought, oh, let's just show how to investigate and hopefully get a weapon. And the reason I put this out because I usually get this. This guy has 3 health. This is probably the worst I have ever played. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to spend 3 actions, 3 resources, put out guard dog. This takes an ally asset or ally slot. And I gotta look at turns because he should hit me before or after I put him down. That's a good question. Let's look at the rules references. What am I looking for? I forget. Trigger conditioning? Treachery? Threat area. Let's look at attack of opportunity. That should tell us what it is. Page 5. Each time an investigator is engaged, which I am, with more and more enemies, and takes an action other than fight, invade, or activate a parley or resign ability, which I didn't. I played a card, which means he gets me an attack of opportunity. Each of those enemies make an attack against each investigator in order of the chosen. The attack deals that damage and horror to the investigator. An attack of opportunity is made immediately after all costs of initiating the action that provoked it that's been paid, but before the application. So yeah, so he attacks me before guard dog's out. So I take, where are they? 1 damage and one mind. So this is really not good. So I'm going to try to attack him, which is a -2, which I fail. Does he retaliate? No, he does not. So I'll attack him again, just give him a punch in the face. Alright. So this is a special ability with each investigator. They have their own special ability he puts out. Plus, in this for right here, so we got +1 for each clue in your location. There's 1 clue, so this is technically a +1. So I hit him. for 1 damage, which is right here. Now, that was all 3 of my turns, so I didn't even use this. Alright, so it's the enemy phase, and the enemy is going to hit me for 2. Now, he's going to hit me for 1 mine, which isn't good for rolling, but instead of hitting me for another horror or health, I'm going to put it on guard dog instead. When an enemy, because you could do that. Instead of putting it on your character, you could put it on your allies. Unfortunately, your allies and assets. Unfortunately, guard dog only has 1 sanity. If I throw that sanity on him, my guard dog will die. But he has 3 health. And every time an enemy attack deals damage to guard dog, I get to exhaust him. When an enemy attack deals damage to guard dog, I actually don't exhaust him. Deal 1 damage to the attacking enemy. So he attacked guard dog attack back at him, which is why guard dog's really good. Alright, upkeep phase. I gain 1 research and a weapon. A Winchester, which costs 4 to play. That's not good. Alright, so Doom continues. And then we do another encounter. Frozen in Fear. Put Frozen for 3 in my threat area, which is right here. First time you move, fight, or evade, it costs 1 additional action. At the end of your turn, test it. Alright, so my attack action next turn is going to cost 2 instead of 1. I guess that's going to be alright. Alright, so for my first action, I'm just going to hit him. I'm up by 1. Hopefully, I can do this. I get a -1, so it's 3 by 3, which means he's dead. I killed the Ravenous Ghoul. Now, it goes up by 2. Roland Banks, special ability. After you defeat an enemy, discover 1 clue at your location. Limit once per down. So this clue, boom, I automatically get it. Without spending an action, I already get it, which is one of the best things you can do in this game, where you do 1 action for multiple things, which is one of the reasons why rolling is really good. So, let's see. I also put 1 point in the Hawkeye folding camera, since we found everything in the study. First time you prefer one of the following actions, it costs 1 additional. Alright, so I'm actually at 1. So basically I used 2 actions to grab it and kill the thing. But I didn't have to take a test for that, so I'm still up by 1. So I still have 1 more action to do. And I do not really have much, but we need to get this weapon out. I need to really start killing things, because there's things going around in my house that I don't want anywhere near. So let's go ahead and use one of my actions to gain a resource, which is a basic action. Not the best of actions, but I don't really have anything much else to do. I need to get this Winchester out. So I'm going to test my Frozen in Fear. Let's see. I'm going to need that card. Certain cards have these little icons right here. And these you can basically say, I'm going to commit this card into this test to give myself an extra foot. Well, my the only one I have that gives me extra mind for this test would be something worth fighting for. Excuse me, which gives me 3 horror to put on here before, and Roland really needs this card, or a shortcut, which is basically a free move, and I don't want to use either of those. Nice thing about this, it gives me 1 extra mind. Now that I realized that if I put this out, this actually costs 2 hand slots. This only costs a 1 hand slot. If I put this out, I basically throw this away. Ugh. Alright, so let's test this thing. I get a 0. I pass. I was up by 4. So this gets discarded. Alright, so upkeep phase. No enemies. Draw my card. Beat Cop. and I gain 1 resource. This goes up here, and the agenda continues. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed, and the ground in many rooms have turned to dirt, almost as if you've been transported somewhere else entirely. Although every now and again you recognize some elements from your former home. The elite investigator must choose one. Either discard 1 card at random from his hand, or take 2 horror. There's no way I can take 2 horror. If I take 2 horror, I'll be basically almost dead. 1 horror would kill me. So, and this is on easy. It's quite easily to die. So, discard 1 hand, which is prepared for the worst. That ain't so bad. Rise of the ghouls. The floor beneath you is given away, and you see vast networks of tunnels twisted into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. So, but this is 7, so it's going to be 7 turns until something else happens. And I get an encounter phase. Another cool minion. Lovely. But he only has 2. Alright, my turn. This sucks. Guess I'll punch him twice. I'm already up by 2, so I should win both of these. +1, he does 1 damage. -1, I still kill him because that'd be 3, and he's dead. That took 2 actions to do. So, I'm going to, without taking an action, I'm going to spend these 2 clues on here for trapped. You notice the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered, mugs and mud stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the doorknob leaning out of your study. You slowly turn the knob and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. Jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on solid dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you. The smell burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Put the set aside, hallway, cellar, attic, parlor. Alright, so we have the hallway, we have the cellar, we have the parlor, and the attic. Each investigator is in the hallway, and the hallway is taken out of the game. So, now we have multiple areas. And as you can see, these little dots right here, this basically represents square, and down here is where you can go. A little bit complicated at first. I bought these little tokens right here to help represent where you can go. So, the attic, which is a triangle, and since this is a triangle right here, you can actually move from here to here. The attic can only go to square, which is the hallway. So, you go right here. This can go right here. And there's going to be one more. This can go right here. Hallway. The moment of panic, disorientation strikes you as they land upon the floor of the hallway. The world spins as if turned on its head. And you can see that artwork. It's like things are going crazy. But since we went here, we flip this over. There's no clues, and it's a value of 1 shroud. The walls of your house are splattered with mud, and your hallway hardwood floor is gone, replaced with a dirt patch. Lovely. I still have 1 action. I can either go to cellar, or somewhere else. Now, since I played this before, I know if I could either go to the attic or the cellar, I'm going to get hurt. 1 by sanity and 1 by health. I think it's best I head down to the cellar, because I think the cellar is cold, which but before I do that, I just realized I didn't read Act 2, because basically it's telling me what I need to do. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlor, which is right here, which says right here, the entrance to the parlor is blocked by a dark, glowing, unfathomable barrier. You cannot move into the parlor. Even though it's here, I can't go there. As you move towards it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it to the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar in an attic that can help. When the round ends, the investigator in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues in advance. So the other one before, I could spend clues anytime I want. But for this one, I have to be in the hallway, and it has to be at the end of the turn. So I still have one action. I could put gain one resource, and then next turn I can buy off the right Winchester. But I'm going to gain one resource anyway in my upkeep, and I'm going to need that this weapon. The only thing sucks about it is just I only get bonus damage if I get certain tokens. This is one of the newer cards I got, and I thought I'll just throw it in here. Give me a two-handed weapon. Maybe it'll do something more for me. It doesn't cost any XP to get. But I was kind of hoping for my machete, which I'm probably not going to find anytime soon or at all. But that's how this goes. This way. Put these back in. So I'm going to play my shortcut. Fast, which means it doesn't take an action to do. It's a fast, it doesn't take an action. I know you probably can't read it. Play only during my turn. Choose an investigator at your location. Move that investigator to a connecting location. Very simple. That's basically a free move. Without taking an action, I can move, which gives me another action to do something else. And I think I'm going down to the cellar because I don't think you get hit by a horror if I do. So let's go down to the cellar. Force. After you enter the cellar, take 1 damage, which is 1 health. Which is fine. Roland has so many. There are 2 clue tokens here. We need 3 clue tokens though, FYI. Okie dokie. And there's also a victory point right here. Basically that means at the end of the scenario, anything in the victory pile, you gain that amount of victory points, which I'll show you right here. Yeah, I can barely read that, but yeah. I also forgot to read the flavor text. Oh, hey buddy, you awake? Yes, he is. Or maybe not, just a little stir. Alright, well if he starts up, I'll pause this video for a second and then I'll head up to him. The stairs leading down to your cellar are slick and have glistened with a thin layer of ice. Your cellar seems to have been replaced with an underground network of icy tunnels and caverns, and the cold air chills you to the core. I really need a weapon. There's bound to be monsters coming up, but there's no way I'm going to be able to get one out in this turn. So instead, I'm just going to explore, which isn't good because this is a 4. And I only have 3. I am down by 1. So, you know what? Instead of, because there's a very good chance. There's only like maybe 2 +1s up here out of so many. So I have like definitely under almost 5% chance of passing it. It'll be a waste of action to me. So instead, I am just going to draw. And I get a machete. Awesome. That's what I need. A machete. Alright. So, now that that's out of the way, let's do the upkeep phase. There's no monsters. Let's just put this sideways so you know it's a discard pile. And there's no enemy phase. So ready all exhausted cards. And draw 1 resource, which is 4, and draw 1 card. On the hunt. That's actually not that bad of a card, to be honest. This is one of the newer cards I saw. I was like, what? This would be pretty good on Roland. So let's give it to Roland. Alright, so put 1 Doom on the agenda deck. And let's see who we get. Rotted Remains. Test 1. Test will 3. For each point you fail, take 1 horror. That ain't good, but I have a pretty good amount. I'm up by 1 because of my Hawkeye camera. I can use something worth fighting for, which basically means I'm pretty sure I'm going to pass this test, but I also might need it to give myself horror damage. So, how many -2s are there? Yes. There are 1, 2, 3, and plus the auto fail, which is that red one. So there's a good chance. If it was auto fail, basically, that would hurt and give me basically 3 damage, which means I would be dead if not. But I have to kill my card dog and I'll barely survive. So that can happen in this game very easily. But I want to keep my something worth fighting for, which is a ruin. If there's a ghoul, take 1 damage, but it's a -2. So I was down by 1, I hit by 1 damage. That sucked, but I'm not too worried about it at all. So, first thing first, let's take 3, bring out my machete. So, what I'm going to do, I have 2 actions left. I can use this to force an enemy to come out. I kill that enemy, use Roland's ability, gain a clue. And I think I'm going to do that. Only because I'm going to need another monster to get the rest of it. Roland's not, the only card that I have that basically keep me at 0 is this card too. So, this is a fast card. I could use my very last resource to find, wait, how many cards? By 9. 1, 2, 3. Swarm of Rats, which they automatically engage with me. Search the top 9 cards in the counter deck, spawn, and disengage with you, instead of the usual spawn location. Alright, so, yeah. The Swarm of Rats is going to be extremely easy to beat, and because that was a fast card, it does not take one of my actions. So I force an enemy to come out, and then I'm going to attack it with my machete. Fight. You get +1 to his attack, so I'm basically up by 5, which I'm up by 4. The only way I lose is with an auto fail. And he does not have a retaliate key card, so that means if I fail, he's not going to hit me and I'll still have another chance to attack him. If it's the only attack monster engaged with you, you get +1 damage, which is an amazing card. This machete is an amazing card. There's a taboo list later that I don't plan on using, but it basically nerfs this card. Alright. Auto fail. I get an auto fail. That's okay. That's alright. I still have 1 more action. 0. So, that was my last action. Swarm of Rats is dead, and I use a special ability to gain 1. I really need to get that more resources to play something worth fighting for. I'm really scared he's going to die soon. Alright, so need 1 resource and 1 thing. Another Hawkeye camera, which is fine. And Mythos time. Goes up by 1, and then counter card. Ancient Evils. Place 1 Doom on the Doom token bag. Man, this card sucks. This literally basically takes a turn away from you. But what that also did was give me I don't have to worry about any like monsters or whatnot. So I'm going to give myself 2 resources and play this, something worth fighting for. Basically, I just used my whole turn to bring this thing out, which basically means I have 3 more sanity health. which is really good. So let's play one card. Preposterous Stick Etches, which can be really good. Doom, that thing is getting up soon. And let's see, Ghoul Minion, which he goes right here, he engages with me automatically. Alright. Ghoul Minion, you're basically going to be dead. I am up by 3. Auto fail, he does not retaliate, so +1, he's dead. I gain the clue because of rolling special ability, and this will be in the victory pile, but it still stays here for now. And because I found the last clue location, this gives me +1 here. I have 2 movement. Now I'm going to use those 2 movements to go 1 to move up here, and then 2 to move up in the attic. These have 2 clue tokens, and only 1 shroud. Alright, so, but that also, as you enter, oh, forgot the theme. I should read these cards. The smell of rotten meat approaches your nostrils as you approach the attic stairs. The bloody carcass of malformed beast swings from a meat hook chained to the ceiling. Blood drips slowly from the carcass, dripping into a small barrel. So lovely. That's not my attic. But there's 2 clue tokens up there. And I can only get this victory point if I get all the clues. I only need 3 clues to get here, which was what we need to continue. But if I get a free clue token, I guess I'll grab it. And this also gives me free sanity if I do, which I think I'm going to. But I also got to take 1 damage, mental damage, because I went to the attic. After you enter the attic, take 1 horror, which I'm going to put something worth fighting for instead of my character. Alright, so it's the end of my turn. There's no monsters. Grab 1 card, which is Winchester, so the other one I don't need. Gain 1 resource. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more and this goes. And I think, who knows what's going to happen if this game continues. Alright, so what do I encounter? Grasping Hands. Test 3 feet. For each point, take 1 damage. You know what? That actually isn't so bad. And the reason why is I have so much health. But I don't want to take too much health. I really don't need these cards. But I can use them to use these 2 pips right here, foot pips, to increase my feet by 2, so I'm at 4. So my 4 against its 3, which is a ruin, -2. If there's an enemy ghoul at your location, take 1 damage. There's not. I'm at 4, -2, so. Alright, so I failed by 1, so I only take 1 damage, which isn't bad. Better than taking 3 damage and slowly get whittled down. Alright. My turn. I am definitely going to take both of these clues. And I'm at book of 4 because this now gives me a +4 to book, +1 to book because there's 2 of them. So as long as I don't get an auto fail, there's no clue. So I pass 1. And I pass 2, which takes away 2 things. I grab 2 of these. Alright, so actually maybe I should have done Preposterous Strikes first so I can get some more cards before I did that. Oh well. Alright. I still have 1 action left. That's all done. I'm just gonna give my free movement and go down here. Now, when the round ends, the round's not ended yet. So draw 1 card, Inquire in Mind. Commit to the skill test only if there's a clue at your location, which gives me 3 pips, but these type of pips, question marks, means I can use it for anything. Alright, did I get myself a resource? I can't remember. So, I'm not going to give myself a resource because I don't remember if I did or didn't. Alright. Enemy phase. There's no enemies. Upkeep phase, which I just did. But because after the upkeep phase is the end of the round, which I'm going to use for the barrier. So I'm going to spend 3 clue tokens because that's how much I need as a solo player to get through this barrier. Using the barrel from the attic, you carry the ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice and hisses and fades out of existence. The barrier blocking the passage to the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. So we're going to reveal this because we see what's inside of it. Put the set aside Lita Chandler into the parlor. So here's a character, and this character is at the parlor. Spawn the ghoul police in the hallway. And we got this bad boy in the hallway, too. Which automatically means he's right at my face. What have you done? The woman with the torch stands in the parlor, glimmering of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, aww. Oh boy, are you waking up? What have you done to my barrier? She screamed, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you. And a creature wearing robes and deer skull mask tears through the wall, advancing towards me. So, I'm not exactly at a really good position right now. Because I just realized Machete only does +1 damage if is the only engaged person. If I draw a monster, shit's starting to get real. But he only has 5 health. I can do this. I can do this. And there's no more clues, literally, anywhere. Basically, this is worthless and this is worthless. This is actually extra worthless because I can only use this with a clue. So this I can use for things. So let's hope that during the upkeep phase, mythos phase, I don't get a monster. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very close to the agenda deck to continue. So if I go here, it says resign. This is too much for me, and you run out of the front door, fleeing in panic. While Lita Chandler is not controlled by a player, she gains parlay, tests, force, book. If you succeed, take control of her. And basically she'll go here. She'll actually get rid of Jargog too, but because you can only have 1 ally slot, she takes up an ally slot. Each investigator location gets +1 fight. When you investigate or your location essentially attacks a monster, deal 1 damage. She's actually really good to taking care of the school priest too, because it is a monster and she'll do extra damage. Plus machete, I can do 3 damage to the ghoul priest. But the moment of truth. What encounter card do we have? Frozen in Fear. I can only do fight once. Well, twice. I don't have Vicious Strike, but I do have Guard Dog. The Ghoul Priest is going to hit me. Okay, so the objective. If the Ghoul Priest is defeated, I advance. So, basically, I just need to kill this guy. He has Retaliate. So, he's going to hit me if I fail a test. Okay, let's see. So, my fight is 4. It's at 4. This is scaring me. I'm getting, because this can go wrong so quick, so fast. Okay, all right. Can I try to? No, there's no way I'm going to evade the Ghoul Priest, because if I evade him, basically he gets like right here, stunned. And then I could like go here and pick up Lita. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that because Roland only has 2 against his 4, and there's no +2. So it's basically an automatic failure, and none of my cards is going to be helpful in this. Wait, I forgot to put my my last thing on my Fulton Hawkeye folding camera because I got it from the study. And I got it from the cellar, and I got everything in the attic, so the shit had 3 on it. Alright. Well, he's with me right now. I might be able to kill this gold priest. I just have to be very, very lucky. The first thing is I'm gonna discard my beat cup, which gives me +1 to fight. So I'm up by 1. Auto fail. Auto fail. Alright, so he retaliates and he hits me. I'm definitely going to take 2 damage on something worth fighting for because he takes me, gives me 2 damage. So this is automatically destroyed. I'm going to put 1 damage on guard dog. Deal 1 damage to attack an enemy. So guard dog hits gold priest, so we basically do some damage. And then I'll have to do an extra damage on myself. Okay. That took two actions because of Frozen in Fear. Okay. I'm gonna have to attack him again. This time on this we're at a 0, which is a 0. So I can take him for 2 damage. Little priest is at a total of 3. He only has 2 health left. Now, enemy's turn. He's gonna hit me. Nothing I can do with that. But I'll give guard dog 1 more damage, which is going to kill him, and 1 more of this, so I can assign these 2 to him. I'll still have to assign 1 attack to me, so I'm down by 4. And this, I'll put on my Hawkeye camera, because it's just for +1 sanity. I technically have another sanity, but I'll put it in here so it'd be easier to understand. And the guard dog's ability is a reaction, and it still works, even though he's going to die. So he gives this guy another damage. Gold Priest is almost dead. 1 more hit, he's dead. And this, I need to, at the end of my turn, so let's test my will real quick. +1, this goes away. Ooh, alright. Bye-bye, guard dog. You really helped me out here. I'm pissed now. Gold Priest. Alright, the agenda deck goes up to 7, which means this goes up. Which, actually, before I do that, I need to get myself a new card, please. Bandolier. This card isn't really good by itself, but the upgraded version is pretty decent. Especially since I have 2-handed weapons. Basically, it gives me an extra hand slot. The upgraded version, I think, is actually pretty good because it gives me +4 mind if I have 2 hand weapons. Alright, so, but it gives me a fight, which is going to be helpful. He hits me, and this continues. Alright, so let's see what happens. A feral beast, roughly humanoid with canine cast hooves and feet tears to the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you can see vast tunnels beneath your howl. Fiendish howling echoes from the deep within the underground caverns. Shuffle the encounter discard pile deck into the encounter deck. So everything I just done is back in here. Discard each card at the top until ghoul enemy is discarded. That lead investigator gets the enemy. If I had guard up 1 more time, Ghoul Priest would have basically been dead. So, when I said earlier about the monsters, oh crap, there we go, Ghoul Minion. So both of these guys are on me. I should put that back on there. Now, Machete is only does +1 damage if it's the only engaged monster. This is actually beneficial to that. It doesn't matter if there's another minion with me, because I just need to hit Ghoul Priest 1 more time. Just 1 more time and he's dead. What's the chances that I get another auto fail? Because if I do, I'm dead. This 2 horror will actually set my horror off. I'm surprised I haven't picked up any of my weaknesses yet. They're in there. But I got lucky. Alright. So. And now this is getting out. They're getting out. You hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to the sound. They rush to escape the house, breaking down the door and clawing at everything away. At the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul moves 1 location towards the parlor. At the end of the round, place one doom agenda for each ghoul in the horror. Basically, the ghouls are trying to get out, and for every time they do, it's gonna basically end the scenario. Whatever this is, it's gonna end the scenario. But I don't think it matters because this is the last act deck, and I just need to kill the ghoul priest. Okay. So that one tip, I still need to have an encounter card. Alright. Test line 4. If I fail, choose and discard one asset I control, which would be the Hawkeye floating camera, which means this horror would go over here because I still have that horror. Or my machete, which I'm not, because we need to kill the ghoul priest. So I can spend these two as 2 mind or willpower pips. So I'll be up by 5 plus this, I'm up by 6. And honestly, it doesn't matter how much I have because those are worthless. So this is actually at a 6. So I had 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I actually meet it. So I actually did it. Well, it's all bound down to luck now. I'll use my bandolier pip fight fit, so I'm at 6, so I'm up by 2. Yeah, so yeah, I'm up by 2. 0. I did it. I only hit him for 1 damage, but it's enough that the ghoul priest is dead, which he goes straight into the victory pile. I'm gonna be honest. This is actually the first time I killed the ghoul priest. I think I've only played the scenario basically 3 times. It's very sporadic, but I'm very happy. Usually I go to the parlor and just get out of there. That's basically what resign means. Resign means you leave the scenario without really getting hurt. And it can actually be special, and sometimes the scenario needs you to get to that resign. And I didn't get to pick up Leah either, even though I don't really need her. If the ghoul priest is defeated, advance. When the robed creature falls, the fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground, and chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in your parlor doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal that was set to trap the ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now we must make more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. The lead investigator must decide. This was never much of a home. Burn it down. Go to Resolution 1. This hell pit is my home. No way that we're burning it. Resolution 2. I know if we burn it down, I'm going to get a mental trauma. I think the first time I played, I said we know we're not burning it down. Wait, is it? No, I don't think I did. No, what happened was I resigned, so the house was still up. That's what it was. So, Roland has only 5 sanity. I'm not going to give him as much mental trauma at all. I'm keeping that mental trauma up because he's already has bad mental. He's only has 5. And as you can already tell, I was very much on the cusp of dying just because of how low that was. It was only through Guard Dog and something we're fighting for, which I was able to soak up 4 in the Hawkeye. So I soaked up 5 mental health through those 3 items. So I'm not doing that. This hell pit is my home. There's no way we're doing that. All right. So go back to here. We'll look at the resolution. So we look at resolution 2. You refuse to follow the overzealous woman's orders and kick her out of her home for fear that she will set it ablaze without your permission. Fools, you're making a grave mistake, she warns. You don't understand the threat that lurks below, the grave danger we're all in. Still shaken by the night's events, you decide to hear the woman out. Perhaps she can shed some light on these bizarre events, but she doesn't seem to trust you very much. Alright, then want your campaign log. Record that your house is still standing, which will actually affect the next scenario. The lead investigator earns 1 experience as he refuses to let the night's events destroy his or her life. So not only do you get victory here, and victory on this guy, but we also get 1 victory because we didn't let the house burn down. Then each investigator earns experience from the victory pile, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Each investigator also earns 2 bonus experience as she gains insight into the hidden world. So I get 7 experience. And basically what that means is I can upgrade these cards to more powerful versions. When you first make a deck, you see these little, you'll see there's no pips underneath that too. There's little pips right there. It's like, hey, this card is worth 1 if it has 1 pip. If it's 2, it's 2 pips. And usually these are cards that are much better. So I've got 7 experience to work with, which is actually really good. In the 8 scenario campaigns, they usually only give you maybe 1 or 2, and every victory point and that you can find in the scenario is very much worth it, because you can basically, if you just ignore victory points in longer campaigns, you're not going to get many experience points, if at all. All right, so there was actually 4 resolutions in this game. The first one, if you were defeated, but you're technically not killed, you're supposed to continue the campaign as if you were defeated. Resolution 1, if you did burn it to the ground. And if you did, you would actually be able to put Lita in your deck. You'd basically be able to put her in her deck if you wanted to. But it does not count as your limit card size. But because we said, no, you're not burning down my house, we did not gain her. Resolution 2, as we just did, was like I gained an extra experience, and I basically said, no, you're not destroying my house, and we do not get Lita, but we get more experience. Resolution 3, I think, is basically, yeah, if investigators are on Act 1 or 2, they are trapped inside the house as ghouls tear them apart. You're basically dead. But you would still, even though the investigators will all be dead, you could still play the next scenario as new investigators, as if it would continue. It would say she was basically forced out to find others to help her cause. Your house was still standing because it was never burned down, and the ghoul priest is still alive. And yes, this guy being alive or dead does actually affect the next scenarios, which the next video will cover. But for now, this is the very first game of Arkham Horror, and I know I'm doing that mid sound, and I apologize if it's a lot more than I noticed. But I love this game. The first scenario, The Gathering, is a very quick and easy scenario. Even though I was on easy, using easy tokens, even though I barely survived, and at the end it was very cut and close, so it's like, it's those moments that really makes this game cut and dry. Unfortunately, like I said, this is the easiest adventure. In a true solo sense, it's going to get much worse later on, where I believe one campaign you could basically fail almost like 7 out of 8 scenarios and still beat it. Being defeated in one scenario doesn't mean you be defeated in the game, but some of them does. There are some scenarios where, as this is shown right here, you can be defeated, but it still continues. But there's also some that, hey, you're defeated, game over, the campaign's over, even if you didn't go through all the scenarios. So I hope you've enjoyed this little playthrough. As I said, this is actually more for my journal for family. I don't really. I might show this off like on Reddit or something. Like, hey, I'm trying this out, but this isn't really meant to be a high quality video, as you can already tell, because this glare. I'm gonna fix this glare in the next recording. I'm gonna check my time and see if I can do the next one, because the next scenario, the second out of 3 scenarios of this campaign, is actually really good, and it basically shows a very, very important point in this game, where even if you're probably going to not be able to do it all, the game will still continue, because that one is extremely, it's probably the hardest game to go through the entire act deck. It was the second scenario is designed so you can't actually do anything. You have to have the perfect deck, perfect circumstances, and the perfect luck to actually do all that. But I'll see you next time as I walk towards my computer, because I have to do that in order to stop the recording.